This is the Ecwid E-commerce show with your host, Jesse Ness, along with Richard Otey.
Friday, RichE. How are you?
Good, good. Fridays are starting to feel like Fridays again.
Yeah.
Went through a zone where just every day felt like the same day for a while. You know, things are opening back up, starting to actually feel like a Friday.
Yeah, we're not together at the studio for people listening. RichE, I kind of miss you here. I get to see you on Zoom calls, not really the same thing, but we're adapting, right? It's all good.
No, it's good. And in the process of all this, e-commerce is booming. So it's always something good to keep talking about.
Yeah, I hope your business is booming. If you're listening, we're hearing a lot of good reports. We see the stats. Like people still need to buy stuff, and so if you've been in e-commerce, hopefully you're seeing that boom. And we hear lots of good stories, right? I know not everybody's doing well, so it's I don't want to be rubbing it in other people's faces, but like. There's a lot of good things going on, especially in the e-commerce world. So
yeah. So if it's not, keep listening and keep adjusting and learn new things, and hopefully it will.
Or maybe you need another product or another side hustle to add on there. So
that's actually a good segue without even trying to.
And I'm a pro, Rich. That was a professional segue right there.
Well, you might just need another product, and you might be thinking, how do I figure that out? All right.
We have just the thing.
So how about because of that professional segue, why don't you go ahead and introduce our guest for the day?
All right. So our guest today is Jon Tilley, the founder and creator of ZonGuru.com. Hey, Jon, how are you?
What's up, guys? How you doing?
Doing great. We're
great.
Working on professional segues,
You guys are so professional, man. It's just amazing. I'm just like so jealous. You guys
What could I say? Yeah. Maybe we're going crazy at home. I don't know. It's possible, but
I think it would have been even more professional if we went to that brewery across from you guys and had that Friday beer and did this after that,
Oh, yeah.
Well, it sounds like we got a round 2 coming up here in a couple months.
A good round 2.
We'll leave the cliffhanger at the end of this episode. How about that? So you got to come back on.
I like it. Yeah. So Jon, you're not that far away. You're in LA. We're in San Diego. So it's a couple hours away. So why don't we get into your business? I mean, what we have here is an all-in-one private label seller toolkit. Do you think that's a good description, or could you how could you improve our description of ZonGuru?
Yeah, that's not bad. I think essentially we are an all-in-one tool set for private label Amazon sellers, and we essentially help you grow through data insights and automation. So we have specific tools to help you, whether you're right at the beginning of your journey and you're doing product research and trying to validate product ideas, or whether you're trying to optimize to get more traffic, or if you're wanting to connect with customers, or you just want like a management system to really help you kind of manage your business on a day-to-day basis. So it's a journey. It's a fun one for sure, but we're passionate about it and love it.
Got it. So this is like all right. So people that have maybe sold on Amazon a little bit, okay, yeah, you could probably get a product up there and live and without too much issue. This is sort of next level on Amazon. This is hey, I really want to professionalize this and optimize and take it to the next level. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, look, I think, Amazon.com is the biggest e-commerce marketplace in the world, hands down, with so many eyeballs and your conversion rate is crazy because, people are literally typing things into Amazon because they want to buy, they're not researching. And there's a hell of a lot of volume that goes through there. So, and it's a complex, community and e-commerce space has been around for a solid number of years. So, having the ability to use data to find your opportunities, to find where people are searching, to figure out how to optimize, to figure out how to beat your competition is important. So, gone are the days of, hey man, it's 2013, I'm going to drop a couple of yoga mats on Amazon and make, 300 grand a year that's done, you know. So it's all about a niche within a niche, understanding, which is also nice, especially for your audience, you know, that curated private label product that is really specific for a niche. There's a marketplace, and that's $1 million product just in itself. So our tools really help, you know, the small business owners, the private label sellers who are making $1 million, $2 million, $3 million bucks a year, you know, or a little bit less. Find those $1 million products. It's not the $10 million products. We can leave those for big box brands. Let's focus on those $1 million products and use data and software to find those and then optimize for those. Yeah.
So when you're talking white label, I have an understanding, but some people
private label really.
Sorry. Yeah. Private label. Thank you. What exactly does that mean for someone who's hearing that phrase for the first time? Like you're taking someone else's product and you're putting your own name on it.
I mean, essentially what you're doing at a very high level is you're creating your own brand. You know, that's ultimately what you're doing. So you're finding a product from a manufacturer, and you're putting your brand instead of anybody else's on that, and you own that brand. So you own that IP in that product, and you're bringing that product from wherever you're getting it manufactured onto Amazon as a platform and selling it as your brand. So, you know, you put your own UPC on it. You know, it's unique to you, and you can sell that product, and only you, unless you obviously allow other sellers to buy the product from you and sell it. But you're ultimately creating a unique product to sell on Amazon by putting your own labels on it. Now, someone else could find that same product from the manufacturer, put their label on it, you know, but ultimately they're selling a different brand. So that's the important piece, and it's core to how we, you know, how we approach Amazon and why we think it's an important way to do it. You know, there's the other way of retail arbitrage where you take someone else's brand and then resell it, and that can get you some cash flow pretty quick, but you're ultimately not owning any IP or the asset itself.
Got it. So retail arbitrage, I know the term, it's been around a while. Like that's where people would like go to the discount bins at, you know, like Target's got a sale. So they buy a bunch of stuff and then ship it into Amazon and sell it. And they, you know, maybe there's slim profits there, but there are some profits in that. So private label is a big term in the Amazon world. And, you know, most of the audience here is more in the e-commerce world, which has an overlap, but sometimes not as much of an overlap as you would think. So private label is basically just somebody else is manufacturing the product. Probably this is going to be mostly in Asia, I'm assuming, and then you're getting your label on it. So your software helps basically people look for products to sell, right? That they may not be manufacturing. Like how?
Yeah, you know, I think. So that's right. And I think there's a massive overlap between how we approach selling products on Amazon, as, you know, how people do on e-commerce and with Ecwid as a platform. I think, you know, ultimately you're creating a marketplace, right? You're either selling on that marketplace like Amazon and you've got your own unique product, or you're selling it on your Ecwid marketplace or your storefront and you're driving traffic to that. You're taking on the control of driving traffic to it rather than potentially selling on a platform where traffic's just going to find you, right? So I think there's a really big overlap, especially on that unique product creation side. What our software does, and you know, some of the ways that we approach it is you know, we look for the opportunity on Amazon. As I said, there's so much traffic and so much happening there. Is like, what is the right opportunity and how do you validate that? And you know, we have a tool like the Niche Finder, which has a unique niche rating system attached to it, which is, you know, it's keyword driven. So you can type in any keyword, for example, and look at the traffic on Amazon, look at the sales volume on Amazon, and look at the competition on Amazon. And it really helps to identify and answer 4 key questions, which we always kind of approach, which is, one, is there demand for that search, that keyword already, and how much demand is there? Because the trick with Amazon is you don't want to be creating a brand and creating the awareness around the brand. You know, you want to be selling something that people are looking for, right? Because that's why they're on that platform. So you want to understand how much demand there is, first of all. The second thing is you want to understand is there competition? And some competition is good, but how much competition? So, you don't want too much competition. So it's really about like, what is the competition opportunity? The fourth thing is really, how much cash do I need to launch this product to really compete against the top sellers, right? How much capital do I need? It's a massive and really important question. Do I need 10 grand or do I need 100 grand to really compete? Because, on Amazon, you need to be on page 1 or maybe page 2 for certain keyword terms. So understanding how much capital you need to create the products and sell at the velocity and not run out of stock is important. And then the fourth one is really investment opportunity, is profit opportunity, right? So how much profit can I make on this product? Will I be making enough profits that I can invest that money back into my business and grow it? Or, if the product is $4 and I'm staying on Amazon and I spend a little bit advertising, I'm out, So that niche rater score really validates any product idea based on a keyword that you can type in against those 4 things, and we visualize it and say, hey, here's the breakdown of it. Yes, we think it's a great opportunity or not, based on what we see and what the historical search volume is on Amazon, what people are searching for right now, how competitive it is, what's the trends. So we kind of like take all of these, hundreds and hundreds of data points that we track, and we do. It's a very complex piece of software, and we simplify it down into this kind of rating score and a few other things around that. But I think what's important to not forget, and important to say, is that data and the answers based on that data is 50% of the problem, that you're solving. The other 50% is how do you differentiate the product? And that's a soft skill that you learn from your business training, from speaking to your target audience, understanding who your avatar is. Those are really important questions to understand and answer, because at the end of the day, you can use all the data you want to say, hey, this is a great opportunity. But if you haven't differentiated and created a product that can connect with your target audience, you're never going to get the conversion rate to really perform at the right level on Amazon. So it's important to really understand and use the data to find the opportunity, but then really to think through, how do I actually differentiate from what's out there, and how do I connect with my competition? And that's the creative, amazing, fun part of an Amazon product, and also the fun part of selling on something like Ecwid. That's what people are doing in e-commerce. They're creating these amazing creative products that solve a unique problem in a unique way.
Yeah, it's interesting. You brought up many good points there, but one thing I just want to remind for that listener who's sitting here going, why again would I want to do this? Well, this is the biggest marketplace on the planet, right? People are, to your point you mentioned when you were talking there, people are going there to buy. They're going there to buy. So yes, you're giving up some fees, and yes, there might be some additional costs if you have it fulfilled by Amazon, but they're bringing you traffic that you need to learn how to bring on your own when you're doing your own store, but you get to keep all those fees. So it's why Jesse and I believe that people should be doing both. You should have your own store, creating your brand where no matter what happens in the world of Amazon, algorithm change or someone, like, you can still be using it, but you're also, when you use Amazon, you can be taking advantage of just the massive amount of traffic that they're bringing in. One question I had for you, this is a very good point, because you were talking about data, and I'm sure ZonGuru is like, that's what it sounds like you help with, like accessing that data and dashboards and being able to learn a lot more about your business than if you probably went straight through Amazon. In your opinion, how do you communicate on Amazon with people? Or do you think you should have this other store, or do you do it on social? Like, that's the part I've always had not quite a solid understanding on how do you do that with an Amazon store? The actual communication, since they don't necessarily like, oh, here's the customer email and you can now ask them how it was. So I would love any kind of insights you have that people could start thinking about how they could, when they get this data, how they can stay more personalized and do the other side.
I mean, it's a really excellent point. And I think just to back that up for a second, and we'll get into answering that, but I think fundamentally, if I'm giving advice to someone who's starting an Amazon, who wants to sell on Amazon, right? There's two ways to approach it. One is, hey, let me find a product. I don't really have a connection with it. Maybe, I've kind of come up with the logo. I find a great product opportunity and I start selling that product, and literally I generate cash, right? So, all of a sudden I'm doing 50 grand a month, 100 grand a month, maybe I do 500,000 a year, whatever, and I'm making a 30-40% margin. There's cash flow that you're creating there, but there's no real asset in the brand. So, very quickly, a Chinese manufacturer finds that opportunity. They're like, hey, this guy's making cash. They launch their product, they cut it by 50%, they undercut you, all the traffic shifts there, there's no brand equity, and that guy's business is either done or he's hopefully moved on to selling some other products so he can stay ahead of the game, right? That's one way that you can approach Amazon. But the way that we always teach and the way that we like to focus is Amazon is the biggest way to scale your cash flow and scale a first-time business. There's no other better opportunity, in my opinion, of doing that because of the volume and the search volume. But you have a massive opportunity to start creating a brand that can compete with the best in the world because we have the resources. We can do that. But you have to approach it in that way when you start your Amazon journey. And the way that I would teach that to someone is to say, use Amazon, see Amazon as your lead magnet. It's your very first sale. It's the very first piece of communication that you're having with a customer, right? So they've come on, they want a certain type of product, you offer that product, and you've got a sale from that. It's what you do after that potentially can create an ongoing, conversation and build an Amazon and build a brand, right? So what you brought up is absolutely important, which is how do you actually do that from an Amazon store? Because ultimately Amazon tries to control the conversation and the communication within, right? And there's certain ways to do it, black hat ways, obviously, but the ultimate way to do it is one, to include the communication about your brand within your packaging. So anybody who buys your product, hopefully you have an insert in there or a way of delighting their customer when they open it, something that talks about your brand and something that you can give them off of Amazon. So, hey, you bought this amazing, coffee mug, with this beautiful branding, this modern thing. Hey, come to our site. We have like this great, detail on a guide on how to be a barista. And, you can also buy coffee, subscribe to our coffee brand on there or whatever. So you're ultimately giving them an experience of the product and you're delighting them, but then you're giving them a reason to go to your Ecwid site where you get, more of a brand connection, the opportunity to communicate, and hopefully the chance to sell them more things, or if you're really smart about it, you use Amazon as your lead magnets, and then you use your site to get them on a subscription, and obviously the value of your business just absolutely goes through the roof. So that's how I would approach it. Is again, the simplest piece of advice is anybody who's launching on Amazon is have a website already with your brand, with ways of communicating what you have there. And that's the beauty of this audience that we're speaking to, is you guys have already done that, and you crush at it because that's your main focus. So if you're doing it on e-commerce and you haven't yet approached Amazon, I mean, you're already 50,000 steps ahead of a lot of people that are on the Amazon thing that can benefit you. To your point, the opportunity to have that communication is one, and there's hundreds others. One is driving outside traffic to Amazon, which everyone here is pro at doing. What is a pro at driving outside traffic? If you can drive that to your Amazon listing, the algorithm is going to send you through the roof, and you're just going to get even more sales. So there's so many benefits to someone. The idea from our side is, hey, start with Amazon, scale it, and then move that into your brand, which is off of Amazon, and diversify your risk, create a bigger brand, create an asset that is ultimately sellable. That's kind of how we approach it from this audience perspective. Hey, you've grown this asset and this amazing thing off of Amazon, and you know how to drive traffic to your e-commerce store. why not test some of that on an Amazon platform, send some traffic that way, get some sales that way, and kind of be self-fulfilling within that loop. So, yeah, hopefully that answered. And the last piece is that there's ways of also communicating, not just through your inserts, but through the review process. We have an email automation system which actually emails through Amazon's system. But when you guys have probably seen this with your Amazon products that you buy, but you'll buy it and you'll get an email from the seller a few days later going like, hey, hope everything arrived okay. Are you good with it? If you have any problems, please ping me back on this email. And if they do, or that's just a way to start the conversation, and to, whether it's a good review, whether it's a good experience or a bad one, you can turn it into a really positive, raving brand ambassador for your product. And so, negative reviews or good ones, if there's an opportunity to connect with the customer, you have a chance of building that brand.
Yeah, that's awesome. It definitely, there's like 20 other things we could go down, but I want to keep it kind of entry level here. Like what's black hat, what's white hat, and where you can push the limits there. That we'll save that for when you come back on the next episode, once people get going.
Maybe we don't record that so Amazon we don't get you in trouble with Amazon. But
we're very much white hat. Yeah. We look at the long term game. We're not that kind of hustle. Yeah.
Well, what would be? Actually, I have a question for you, and it kind of fits right here. So your software is about helping people find that product, get data, get information on what would be good, and you have when you access that data, you're going to know a little bit more. So you're probably going to know ways to talk to your, not necessarily the soft skill side, but you can take that data and use what you have with your soft skills and to communicate different things with them, get them to review, get all those other things that you're talking about. But I'm interested. We always like to find out like what got you started with this. Did you have your own e-commerce store prior, or how did you develop this? What was the origin story, I guess?
Yeah. It's a good one. Well, it's not necessarily a good story, but it's a good question. I'm originally from South Africa. That's the accent that I've had, and I've been around for some time, and I've had a long career in advertising. That was my gig from after college. I got involved as an advertising exec and a strategist, and started in kind of retail space from an advertising perspective. Did some TV, but quickly kind of moved into the e-commerce side of it. Through my career, I think it was like a 12 or 13-year career that spanned from South Africa to London, and left London and moved to Los Angeles. Was dating a girl. That's kind of the story how it usually goes, who was living in Los Angeles, and I was in London, and we were like, oh shit, but one of us has to move, and I was like, I'm going for the weather, so I came over to LA, and just stuck with it, so I ended up in Los Angeles, and it was a very demanding career, with also a very creative side, which is great, and I loved it, but I always had this real sense of wanting to be my own entrepreneur and have my own business since I was young, and as things moved on, I was very frustrated and unhappy that I just hadn't cracked that nugget. Anybody who was an entrepreneur, I was jealous of, and I was just like, I would love to have that. And I just, throughout my years, I had ideas, but I just overcomplicated things, and I never, I suppose, to the degree, had the confidence or everything didn't align for me to make that leap. Because it's a significant leap to go, hey, I'm going to quit my successful career that I'm doing pretty well with, and give all of that up to take a risk with whatever idea I have. And so I was hitting like 36, 37 at that time, and I hadn't pulled that pin and made the jump. And then I had a lot of personal things happen in my life. I ended up separating and getting divorced, and I just lost a lot of confidence in that. And I think with any change that happens in your life, like a massive change like that, you self-assess, and you say, okay, what is it that let me get back to all the things that made me that I might have given up on, that have gotten me to this unhappy place. And I was living out of a construction site that my friend was redoing his house. That was completely gutted, and I had like one little fire. And just one evening, I was just like, dude, I've got to give this entrepreneur thing a crack. And you know, obviously everything starts aligning when you think like that. And I went to Vegas, and I got given this free ticket to attend an Amazon conference back in 2014. I was like, well, okay, fine, it's free. I'm going. I've got, you know, it's Vegas. I'm going to go and check it out. And that just the penny dropped for me. I was like, this is my opportunity. I can literally find a product in a different country. I don't have to meet the manufacturer. I can ship it. I can get a design done to it. I don't have to meet the designers. I can ship it. I don't have to touch it. I can put it into Amazon. I don't even have to touch the product. They'll have it. They'll set it. They'll handle all the fulfillment. And all I have to do is really create a good brand and put it on there. And I can do this as a side hustle while I'm still doing my advertising gig. This is it. You know, this is the opportunity. I've got to go for it. And so I went for it. And you know, I think within 7 months, I'd launched my first product by just being consistent every week. Hey, I've got to do one thing this week on that business, and be consistent about it. And I launched that product, and within the first month, I was doing 50K a month. And within 2 months, I was out. You know, I was like, peace, I'm out of my career gig. And I ran my Amazon business for a bit, and I created a private label, curated product, a unique product. I still sell them today. And at the time, you know, my business partner, you know, we were, this was right in the beginning. It was like 2014, 2015 on Amazon, and the services side was just starting. And we were like, hey, let's get on the services side as well. And he started an education business, teaching people how to create a proper business on Amazon. And I started the software side of it to really support the education business in the beginning. And I used obviously my advertising and e-commerce skill set there to put the team together and build the software. And that was late 2015. And, you know, just kind of built it from there. And so now my main focus is definitely the software side of it. And I still have my Amazon business on the side. So that's kind of like the story of how I got here and managed to do it. Yeah.
No, that's great. It's funny. I almost wanted to stop you for a second, but I was like, no, I got to hear the rest, because when the entrepreneurial story starts with, so I got on a plane to Vegas, I was like, oh gosh, where's this going?
Yeah.
But luckily it was to go to a conference that was in Vegas. I was like, oh great. Someone started.
Yeah, there was plenty of shenanigans around that too. But you know, it was it was one of these conferences which is like, hey man, get rich quick scheme, nothing easier. I got to do this. And that was kind of the seed for us to start the education side of saying, hey, this is a bunch of bullshit. You know, this is a proper business that takes time and effort. And if you're truly not just going to be that cash flow guy who crushes it and dies in a year, you've got to create a proper business. And, you know, we're going to create some proper software that really supports that kind of thinking. So, yeah, there was a lot of that shenanigans in Vegas, but, you know, it's just amazing how things kind of come together.
Yeah.
Which is good.
No, that's good. And I know there was definitely a get rich quick thing in the Amazon. It's still there, of course, but it was, the opportunities were actually, was probably like, it was pretty easy 5 years ago. Now it has gotten harder from what I understand. And, you know, you do need the tools in order to find the right products, and you have to source the products. And, you know, I do know there was some people from several years ago that like, it was that easy, that, you know, like they just found a product and put it on Amazon and made a bunch of money. So for people now that, hey, that it's a little harder, you know, let's get into the idea that a lot of our customers already, a lot of Ecwid listeners already have a product and may want to expand their product list. Some people listening might be like, I don't know what I want to sell yet, but I keep listening to you guys because I want to learn the skills. Like, so talk us through discovering a niche and then all the way through sourcing a product. Like how, you know, actually we'll go to an example here. We have this example that we used on the show for pancake spatulas, right? Do you recommend people start with a quote unquote passion or an idea in a niche, or just go from straight numbers and like, let's find that perfect niche and maybe learn to love pancake spatulas if that's your thing, right? Like which area do you go with? And then, you know, like I'll just stop with that question first. Which area?
Yeah, I think the answer is either, right? And I think it really boils down to your personality and what you're trying to create. There's some dudes that I know who don't give a flying shit what they sell. You know, they use the data. They use like our product niche finder, which you literally don't even have to put a keyword in. You can just set some certain criteria and say, hey, I want a product that can make this much money with this competition opportunity. You can kind of set some filters, just hit go. We even have an I'm feeling lucky button, which you can hit and it'll just return random stuff. And you can, within, you know, a couple of minutes, find 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 product ideas, right? And you can go source that, figure it out, and sell it. That is absolutely one way to approach it. The other way is to, you know, and the way I approach it is, if I'm going to be selling something and I truly want to create a good brand out of this over the years, why don't I sell something that I've got a passion for? And I can tell you right now, if you have a passion for anything, which everyone does, there's something within that area that you can sell on Amazon that's going to make some serious cash, because you are looking at, you know, the tiniest use case niche is $1 million business because of the amount of traffic. So, you know, I would always stay towards the passion side, but you know, it's also pretty interesting to just jump on and you know, open your blinders a little bit, because you're focused on your passion and you might be getting stuck, is just to use some of our data to say, you know, in general, to return some ideas, and they spark other ideas, and you're like, oh wait, that's really interesting. Oh, heck, I'm actually passionate about that anyway. You know, you kind of like go down that path. But yeah, you can take either pathway.
Okay.
Yeah.
But to answer your kind of first question in terms of what is the process?
Yeah, like let's use the pancake spatula. Assume that we are like master pancake chefs, and we have this idea for the perfect pancake spatula, right? Gold plated, whatever. Walk us through that process through your software all the way to sourcing product and bringing it into a warehouse.
Sure. Well, let's use that as an example. I'm happy to use that. One caveat I'm going to put on that is that, you know, these kind of like utensil style products, that, you know, that is extremely competitive on Amazon, and probably something that you won't necessarily find an opportunity on. But if you've this master pancake chef and you've figured out a way to create this spatula that is,
or assume that we have a pancake passion, and yes, like, you know, like
we've got a unique way of creating that product, right? So
yeah, and you know, like we could go sideways into other products, and like maybe that's the beauty of the software, is that, yeah, I have this great idea, and then I plug it in and I'm like, oh man, ton of competition, blah blah, but here's this other, you know, great idea, like, you know, how.
So yeah, so starting with that passion, pancakes, right? Pancake spatulas. Sure. The best way to start with that is to plug that into our niche finder tool, which is essentially a database that collects keywords from what people are actually searching for on Amazon. So if people are typing in pancakes, we're collecting that, but we're collecting also every single iteration of the pancake, you know, searchable like field, right? So when you put that word into our niche finder, based on the keywords that the customers are actually searching for right now on that criteria, we'll start to return all of those keywords and iterations of it. And then we'll give you information like what I just talked about, the niche radar, like what's the competition. We'll tell you the search volume. We'll tell you how much money that keyword makes on Amazon a month. We'll tell you, you know, stuff like, you know, again, competition, how much, you know, what's the average price, all of these kind of things, and a score. It'll say, hey, this is an interesting product to sell or not. And then we'll also return kind of the top sellers and a variety of those, so you get some good ideas around what you could sell. So you might start off with pancake, and it's going to return, you know, pancake spatula, it's going to return pancake grill, you know, but also some longer tail keywords, because that's what you're looking for, is those more descriptive keywords. And the best way I can explain that is if someone types in pancake spatula versus someone who types in, you know, executive chef pancake spatula aluminum handle, right? If they're typing in that longer keyword, their chance of, if your product is relevant for that, the chance of conversion is much higher. So you get these more descriptive keywords that people are typing in, and that is what's really critical, because if I find this idea of pancake spatula, great. The next step in terms of validation is to say, okay, the tool has said this is a great idea, but you have to think about, if I actually launch this product, what would be the right keywords to target where the opportunity is, where I can get the sale and I can get to page one. Because I can tell you right now, pancake spatula, there's 200, 300,000 searches a month just for that product, for that keyword, and it's the most competitive. You're gonna have to probably have to do like 100 sales a day just to maybe get to the level of what the sales are on that page. So you've got to kind of backdoor it a little bit and use our tool called Keywords on Fire. I came up with that name, by the way, but Keywords on Fire, to find the opportunity where there are these longer tail keywords that some of the competitors haven't optimized for, that we actually discovered that people use, and people come up with creative ways of finding things on Amazon. Find those keywords, target them, and understand, if I target those keywords, can I get to page one for those specific keywords, right? Because it's an organic listing on Amazon. And if I can, what is the actual money that I can make if I come in on those longer tail keywords? And so you've got to think through the launch strategy a bit, and that's, once you come out at the end of that process, you can very clearly answer, hey, this product has demand, has competition, but I can beat the competition on some of these opportunities I'm seeing. That I can make profit off of this, and I need this much money up front to really compete. And so if I can answer those, I can be really confident to now go and source the product in China or wherever it is, and start the process of creating your brand and bringing it to Amazon.
Okay. Go ahead, Richie.
Yeah, just, it only fits perfectly right now. I'll try to make it quick, but you mentioned launching the product, and you also mentioned a couple times now driving traffic to Amazon, even though Amazon drives a lot of traffic themselves. But there was a very interesting thing when you were talking about those keywords and the long tail. We do a podcast, obviously, that's what you're listening to. And we also know you do a podcast, but while I was listening to you there, I was thinking to myself, and I'm sure you probably teach this in your education side of the business, but there's also, you could use those long tail keywords on fire, as you call them, to actually be producing content offside of Amazon that you could use to drive traffic to your site, I'd imagine. So
100%, like once you've discovered and grouped together those kind of like longer tail keywords that you believe you can win, and this is based on real data of people actually searching for using that phrase, so they're looking for it. We use that in our PPC campaigns within Amazon, right, to drive traffic, because they have their own kind of search platform, paid search platform. But that data that you see there is absolutely anything you can use off of Amazon, to drive traffic. Google ads, for example, or Facebook advertising, or those keywords are very, very insightful around what people are searching for on Amazon, but also off of Amazon. So you can absolutely use those. And the kind of that whole process, and this is another deep kind of nugget to dive into, but it's an important one for your listeners anyway, is the way I use my e-commerce site is, I drive traffic to the site from Facebook or Google ads or whatever. It's essentially a landing page, and I just have a link in there from my products, hey, buy on Amazon, and they just click on that and it redirects to my Amazon listing where they buy that product. But we have this tool in place called a super URL, which basically mimics the organic search process based on that keyword that you're targeting, when it goes to Amazon. So when they click on that, it mimics the organic search for that keyword, pancake spatula, let's just say. And then when they buy it on Amazon, the A9 Amazon algorithm is going, hey, that was an organic search for Amazon spatula, so I'm giving him juice for that specific keyword, right? So it's a really, and Amazon is going, hey, I love people searching on Amazon for my product, but I really, really love people coming from outside of Amazon who buy it. So let's give them more juice. And you know, you have a very good shot at ranking, not only for the long tail, but some of those shorter tail keywords as well. So the fact that your audience are already, you know, experts in that, driving traffic to a landing page or to their own listing, it's a very small pivot to go, hey, I can take some of that traffic and drive it to my listing, and then straight using a super URL, driving it straight to Amazon and get some sales on there and get it fulfilled by Amazon. You know, they take their 30% or whatever. Maybe I you know, I don't make as much margin, maybe, but it's handled by Amazon, and you can still focus on your e-commerce side of the business. So it's a really small pivot with a lot of upside, versus people who just sell on Amazon. You know?
So does your software actually create that landing page too?
No,
Or is that
no. So we don't. You know, that's where Ecwid would be, you know, a platform they would use. And I don't know the ins and outs of the software, but if you could, you know, some of them might just be API connected to Amazon, right? And the fulfillment happens that way. But you know, a simple hack on that is just to go click on this button and then open up in another window that actual Amazon listing, and they can buy just directly off of there. But in that process, using that super URL, you know, to drive it, which would be something that they would, you know, there's software out there. They could either embed that on Ecwid, you know, within that link, or kind of figure out another way to do it. So that would be the best way to approach it. So we, you know, from a ZonGuru perspective, we just handle the actual Amazon side of it, but there's definitely softwares and ways of handling the off of Amazon side, which obviously you guys are perfectly set up to do as well.
Got it. Yeah, I mean, I think that's a pretty deep cut for the SEO nerds in there. So I like that. It's a good nugget. I do want to return back to the sourcing part of our, you know, okay. So we did the research. We decided pancake spatula is a little too broad, but we discovered that like aluminum handled pancake spatula with a beer bottle cap opener is like, that's just missing, right? Nobody made this thing yet. There's keyword volume for it. You know, where the thing I like about your software is you have a connection to actually, you know, look for manufacturers of this and get this private label product. Like, tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So you have this idea now with I like it. Maybe we should make this product. But so you have this idea, the pancake spatula with the beer bottle opener,
bottle cap opener, yeah.
And you know, the idea is, okay, well, how do I find the right manufacturer to make that? And one of the places to source that is Alibaba.com. You know, the biggest platform in the world for manufacturers. But there's a lot of you know, there's a lot of mistrust, I think, with that platform as well. There's some shady sellers on there. You know, you're dealing with China, you're dealing with, you know, there's India, there's Middle East. You know, they have sellers from all around the world. But you can type in pancake spatula and you're going to get hundreds of thousands of manufacturers. And how the hell do you choose the right one? And more importantly, how do you make sure that you can trust them, that they're not going to take your IP, create it and sell it and do all that kind of stuff? So it's that kind of next step, which is like, how do I gather the information and the tool sets and the education to really make sure I can find the right potential manufacturers and then ask the right questions to make sure that they're a good fit and do it in the right way. So, you know, that's a little tricky to navigate, but the first thing I'd say on that is as you do that, just trust your business sense, right? Ask the right questions and you'll know in your gut if they're right or wrong. But in terms of software, I think it was June of last year, Alibaba.com was like, hey, you know, private label sellers on Amazon is a massive piece of our business, right? On e-commerce platforms anyway, but Amazon specifically. And how do we better service those customers, those people who are selling on Amazon who need manufacturers? And so they put a pitch out to kind of all the top software companies in our space last year, and we went up there, we were part of it, and we actually ended up winning that pitch. And so we've partnered with Alibaba. It's a unique partnership where ultimately they said, hey, we've got this database of all of these manufacturers. Let's work with you because you guys are experts of understanding what is the key data and the right kinds of customers, manufacturers that Amazon sellers need. Let's work together. Let's filter the data in the right way. Let's present it in the right way so that ultimately we have the ability to present the cream of the crop, manufacturers that are best suited to e-commerce sellers on Amazon.com or Europe, depending on where. And let's also give them the right filters and information so that they can look at it and go, oh, okay, this is the right guy for us, and then connect. So it really just shortcuts that whole process. And so when you're actually, we have a Chrome extension, which is, for anybody here, it's a great piece of software that basically embeds into your Amazon listings, your Amazon website. So it's a Chrome extension that just sits at the bottom, and as you search for products, you can bring up the Chrome extension. It validates whatever's on the Amazon page that you're looking at and says, hey, this is a good opportunity or not. And then we have a little button there, a little widget that goes, hey, this is what it costs on Alibaba. Here's a few products. You can click on that and go directly through to that listing on Alibaba, and you can connect with your manufacturer there. So it just shortcuts that whole process and just brings it all into one kind of search experience, which people are loving, and it works well. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's awesome on a lot of levels. There's one for the people just starting with we'll call it the random niche, our spatula with the bottle opener. But then there's a lot of other areas I'm thinking of Ecwid users that have a store, they're doing okay, but they need another product, but they don't have the ability to manufacture it, right? And they're everyone's heard of Alibaba, but they know if they go to Alibaba.com, it's gonna really be overwhelming the first time, and I've done it. It looks like, oh man, I don't know, I'm scared, I'm backing out here. This looks like a way to shortcut that and know that you're getting. Obviously, you still have to use business sense. Don't be dumb. Don't just wire money somewhere without checking it out. But it short circuits that process a little bit to connect an idea in your head for a product you want with the people who already make this product or something really close to it. So I love that for anybody listening out there. If you have an idea, it's very, very easy to bring that idea to market, and seems like a really good path to do it. While also making sure you can sell it on Amazon,
Yeah, absolutely. And it seems pretty scary, hey, I'm connecting with this manufacturer in China that I don't even know where they're based or what they're doing, but they're pretty switched on to servicing this marketplace, and their sales agents all speak great English. They are very, very customer focused if you find the right guys, and there's certain things that you do up front to kind of weed through and just make sure you connect with the right manufacturers. One is obviously using our system, which weeds out a lot of that. But the first thing to do is really just give them a brief, like, hey, I have this product idea. Can you go, at a high level, this is what I'm manufacturing or want to manufacture. Can you do it? But before I get into a lot of the details on this, can you send me back an NDA? Non-disclosure agreement signed and with their company stamp on it, called the company chop. And they take that really seriously, and some of them won't, but if they do, that okay, I've taken that first step to really knowing that this is a trustworthy manufacturer, and then basing the rest on your kind of soft skills, because at the end of the day, you're trying to form the best case scenario is you're trying to form a long-term relationship that you're going to bring them money, they're going to bring you, and you're going to create this amazing product that starts as this pancake spatula with a beer top that's going to end up with this whole brand and line that you sell on Amazon, off of Amazon, and you've built a relationship over 2-3 years. That's where you want to end up. So you've got to, it's an important relationship aspect, the manufacturer you find. It's literally the key, the success to your business is finding that right one.
That's perfect. Yeah. I just want to make sure we talked about that, because I found that super interesting. I, like probably a lot of people, I have a lot of ideas in my head, and sometimes they make it into notebooks but it's one thing to take an idea in your head and actually get it into a product form, and it's becoming easier than ever now. So that's awesome. Go ahead, Rich.
Yeah, just a super quick question. You had mentioned it a couple times, and we don't have to go real deep on it, but there was something there you were mentioning about how much you would need to get started. Does your software actually help calculate because it knows this particular seller needs this much as a minimum order or something like that? Like, what exactly did you mean by it? Would kind of give you an idea of how much you would need to get started?
Yeah, good question. So basically, we use the software to come up with a number, right? A number that you essentially need to buy the stock, right? So we kind of either know the price from our tools, or we work it out as a margin percentage to say, hey, if it's selling for this much, if it's selling for $10, it's probably costs around $3, right? So depending on where we get it, we'll come up with a number. Hey, this is what the cost of goods is, how much, and how much it costs to ship it. We have numbers around per unit, how much it's going to cost to ship over. So we'll come up with a cost of goods number, and then we factor in how much stock you would need up front to stay to sell at the velocity of page one for the keywords that you're focused on, because you want to compete on page one. So what are the sales that people are doing on page one? And if I'm going to compete there, I need to sell at that velocity. And then we factor in a 2 to 3 month window where you have enough stock to stay in stock for 3 months at that sales velocity. Because typically what happens, and anybody selling on Amazon will know this, is you get successful, and all of a sudden, bam, you're out of stock, and then you're shipping stuff in, and you have to restart again. And so what we kind of in theory put forward is hey, let's give you a capital number that will allow you to buy your cost of goods, sell it at the velocity of page one, and stay in stock for at least 2 to 3 months, so that you can reorder, get stock back before you run out. And typically, if I'm starting, I would say, our kind of number is 15 grand. 10 to 15 grand is you can start a really solid business with 10 to 15 grand if you find the right niche. And you will, if you plow that money back into that business and you do well with it and you stay in stock, within a year and a half, you've got a really good business, and you can start to take a little bit of cash for yourself out. But first and foremost, remember that anybody starting there, you want to invest that money back into that business as much as you can, because that's the only way to grow. Because unless you take outside capital, right?
I'm glad I asked that question. That's a lot of calculation that someone would have to do on their own that you guys can take care of in the software there.
Yeah, I agree. I didn't think it was going to be quite that complete. There's a lot of data points in there, including the most important one is, what does this cost for this product? And and you mentioned there, without getting into like the Amazon algorithm A9, like the sales velocity is like, you need to sell enough to stay on that first page. Just because you ship a product into Amazon and create a perfect listing, Amazon doesn't really care that you don't just go on first page. Like, you have to sell in order to earn your way onto the first page. And, I think people forget about that it's not just a, build it and they will come. Like, no, there's a whole process there. So
absolutely. And to that point, that you want to sit on the first page for the keywords you target. And that's why that longer tail keyword is so important. And we call it the halo effect. And to just unpack that for a second, the theory is, if you can find those less competitive longer tail keywords that the competition isn't sitting on, and they're relevant for your product, and you can target your launch strategy around that, Amazon will see the conversion rate for those, and it's going to be over 20%, because typically it's around 20%. But they'll see a high conversion rate and say, oh, this is a good product that's making us money. Here's some of that organic short tail keywords with the higher volumes, because we think you got a great product. And so the halo effect happens, where you convert for those mid-volume longer tail keywords, but very quickly the A9 algorithm is giving you a shot. You're a brand new product. They want to get it in front of more users. They want to make some money. They want, if you've got a high conversion rate, they're going to give you that organic traffic, and your business will just explode. So there's a proper strategy around how you launch and what keywords to target. And if you do it right, you'll do really well.
It sounds awesome. I hope people listening are like, we didn't lose you guys, you know, because it's a kind of an advanced world. And I mean, I think that's one reason why you don't really just want to go do it on your own. You do need some help and resources. And Jon, that's one of the reasons we brought you on here, to kind of, you know, get some of that knowledge out to our audience. So if people are thinking about it, they know also where to go for help.
Yeah, I mean, just to kind of jump in there, but you know, I live and breathe this stuff, and we can get deep in the data. But you know, one thing that we focus on ZonGuru is you know, I've given you kind of the behind the scenes, you know, the duck's legs underwater, what's happening. But the way we visualize it is really simple, so that you can be very effective in making the right decisions for your business, right? That's our responsibility. Give you the data in the right way so you can make the right decisions to move forward. But you know, it's that point that I said in the beginning is, it's 50% the data and how you kind of ingest that and make decisions on it, but it's 50% of making a great product. And at the end of the day, if you can differentiate and make a great product, it's really hard to screw that up on Amazon. You're going to make money. So you know, especially for Ecwid, you know, listeners, they've created these cool boutique style awesome products. And if it's awesome and they can quickly validate that idea, and if there's opportunity on Amazon, they're going to crush it no matter what. You know, it's going to be hard to screw up. And that's what I say is, like, if you get the product differentiation part right and you just make sure you optimize your keywords, your hardest problem is going to be staying in stock. You know, everything else you don't have to do. If you get the first part wrong, then you're like, oh, well, now I've got too much stock. Well, now I have to drive outside traffic, yada, 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 you know. So it can be very simple if you just do it right.
Yep. Yeah. And if running out of stock is your biggest problem, you're doing something right. You know, it is a problem, don't get me wrong, but yeah, like you've done everything right. You're out of stock. You need to restock. So we want everybody to get there. RichE, we're running low on time here. You got any last questions before we move on?
Oh gosh. No, I want to go get an account is what I want to do. So I would just say, where could people go? I know you got a podcast, and where can people go to learn more about you? If I remember correctly, I think you have a couple assets you have set up where people could.
Yeah, I mean, you know, at ZonGuru is our social handle. You can get us on Facebook. You can get us on Instagram, actually, which is a really cool one. We approach that a little differently, where instead of it just being a reflection of our business, we've focused that whole thing on product differentiation and ideas and inspiration. So it's basically a feed within your Instagram channel of great product ideas and how, you know, what's hot, what's not, how to differentiate. So that's a cool one just to follow if you want some inspiration. And then we have a private Facebook group called Amazon Seller Network. And we do a lot of our podcasts and we showcase them through there. So you can always join that, or you know, just hit us up at zonguru.com. Our support group there is very passionate about this space, and they can help you with anything you want, and you can ask any questions and they'll come back to you. And then finally, I think if you just want a bit of a feeling of what we were talking about in terms of how do you validate a product idea and what are some cool things that sell on Amazon, we have the latest hot products list. It's about 60 products that you can get for free. You can just go to get.zonguru.com/hot-products. And there's just a PDF download of 60 products. But more importantly, we go into that whole niche rater score of like, how do we validate this product idea? What are the important things? How do you differentiate it? So there's a lot of like high level education stuff in there as well. So I would start there. And then, so again, that's get.zonguru.com/hot-products. Just start there. Or go to our homepage. There's a 2020 challenge you can take, which will teach you kind of all the stuff we're talking about now. There's like a 3-part series that will very quickly teach you how to go about approaching Amazon. So there's a bunch in there that they can get their hands on for free before even, you know, thinking about signing up for an account.
All right. That's awesome. I think this has probably been one of the most like information packed pods we've done in a long time. So Jon, really appreciate you sharing with us. RichE, thanks for the time here. So, all right. Anyone out there listening, they'll be out there. Get out there and make it happen.
Hey, this is Jesse and Rich. We want to let you know we really appreciate you listening.
We hope you find the tips we give you helpful for growing your business.
You can find all of our past episodes and a lot more useful stuff at ecwid.com/podcast.
And also, check us out on your favorite podcasting platform like Apple Podcast or Stitcher. And make sure you never miss an episode by subscribing.
Be sure to let us know what you think by rating and reviewing so we can serve you better.
So subscribe on your favorite platform.
And come join our community, check out the transcripts, or tell us why you would be a great guest at ecwid.com/podcast.